Bandai Namco presents yet another free-to-play game that was a mistake and I wish it wasn't. Cryware, what went so wrong for this game? What went so bad for Project Soul? Are you kidding me? I can't believe this exists. I can't believe this game's worse than Tekken Revolution. Look at this. Subtitles on a Soulcalibur intro? Are you out of your mind? Look how lazy this is. Are you kidding me? I'm surprised they even have music for this. It might as well just be a dark screen with nothing on it for how bad this went. Oh my goodness. Remember pre-rendered cutscenes in the opening of your video games, Bandai Namco? Apparently you didn't care for the free-to-play games. You just wanted to sit there and be lazy and just do cutscenes from a previous game. Oh my goodness. Look at this. It's from Soulcalibur 5 in the intro. What are you doing? And there's just a still image. Are you kidding me? $1 billion corporation, $100 million corporation doing this nonsense for their free-to-play games. Oh my god. And just recapping the end of Soul, or actually recapping the beginning of Soulcalibur 5. Awesome. Great stuff. It looks wonderful, not? This would be fine if this was story battle, because that's usually what happens there, but not in the intro of the game. Look, the Astral Chaos. It used to be called Catastrophe Chaos. Look, that's where the swords resides in the shards. Man, I don't care. Not anymore, at least. Worlds and time. I can't believe you used the term timelines. Were you really trying to capitalize on Marvel at this point in 2014? Are you serious? Are you out of your mind? I think they were. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. And now the stage is set yet again to disappoint anyone who actually liked the Soulcalibur franchise. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I played this game when I was younger. Look how bad that font is. Both of them are terrible. This might be the worst logo of Soulcalibur of all time. It's definitely up there. I'd have to look at those Soulcalibur mobile games. And look, you don't even have time to do anything. And then it just repeats itself. So getting footage for this game is difficult, and I don't want to use anyone else's footage. So what I'm going to have instead is a better game in the background, Soulcalibur 4, to you to look at while I talk over the game. All right, let's get into it. Bandai Namco and their infinite genius after Tekken Revolution decided to make yet another free-to-play game called Soulcalibur Lost Swords. It's a free-to-play video game that was essentially a glorified mobile game for the PlayStation 3 and only for the PlayStation 3. Why would they do this? Because they were trying to capitalize on the mobile market and at the same time the PlayStation market. That clearly failed. It was released on February 6, 2014 in Japan and April everywhere else in the same year. That Japanese date is important because it's related to the demise of this game. So let's get into the gameplay of this atrocious game. Similar to Soulcalibur 4 instead of 5, this game used Soul Crush for getting collectibles and items from NPCs you fought to upgrade your weapons from quest mode into the Forge, or you could just purchase them again. Yes, since this was a glorified mobile game, it had microtransactions to either buy them or speed up when you could play again. It also had an AP system, which is an energy system that would regenerate like it would in Tekken Revolution, which did not help whatsoever. Repeating the same mistakes of Tekken Revolution did not help this game at all. They also put armor destruction in the game, and guard impact went back to normal, thank goodness, as it didn't require a meter to be executed, which was one of the few compliments I'll give this game if you consider bringing back a mechanic that was before Soulcalibur 5 a compliment. The newest mechanic was an elemental system. You could forge weapons that contained them, and had a rock, paper, scissors mechanic that had fire beating wind, wind beating water, and water beating fire. But what they removed from this game is what baffles me the most. They removed the ability to ring out any opponent you fought. Why would they do this? Was it necessary? No. It has been a staple in this series, this franchise, to ring out an opponent since the very first game. And we can't even have that in this free-to-play game? I'm surprised it wasn't DLC or a microtransaction at this point, using this absurd phone game business model for the PlayStation 3. But it gets even worse from here. There was going to be multiplayer for this game, but they decided to ditch it since they believed it would cause balancing issues. Let me read you an excerpt of quotes from one of the producers of Soulcalibur Lost Swords and see what you could make out of it. Originally, we were thinking about having a multiplayer option, Hoshino explained, but because we're going with a pay-to-win model, we were worried that by having online multiplayer for all the new users that would be coming in experiencing the game for the first time, they might be immediately deterred by fighting against opponents who had superior equipment and gear. Hoshino said that the pay-to-win structure doesn't have the same impact on single player, while free-to-play broadens the game's appeal. The reason for going free-to-play wasn't so much about the business model itself, but the idea that we wanted to expand the market to the more casual user. We thought that free-to-play would fit the model better, he added. Well, he was wrong. Tell me this person understands how they could have coded a program to not allow high-level gear in ranked or any multiplayer mode. mode, just like they did in Tekken Revolution. Did you forget? Why are these two groups underneath Bandai Namco not interacting with each other to let them know what happened in this game that didn't work that could work in Soulcalibur? I can't believe how disproportionately Tekken Revolution has these neat things and then Soulcalibur Lost Swords just flat out doesn't have it in it. Even though they're under the same company, it's absurd. It's terrible. Balancing issues are a valid concern, but the only thing they want players to balance was their wallet by spending money on this game, because even though it is free to play, it's essentially pay to win as well. One of the microtransactions was to remove the limiter on the playtime on the game, which was ripped straight from the standard energy mechanic of mobile games of the time, as well as Tekken Revolution. Now, after all of this nonsense, we can start talking about the playable characters in this game. You get 3 in the beginning. I did not stutter there. You get 3. 1, 2, bop 3. Mitsurugi, Siegfried, and Sophitia, which is already off to a bad start. Not saying that these characters are bad, the fact that you only get these 3. Then when you choose the character you want to play as, you could only play as that character until you obtained character keys by completing in-game quests. Insane decision, but we must move forward because there's more. There are 14 more playable characters you can unlock, and I will list them off in alphabetical order. Amy, Astaroth with his Soulcalibur 2 outfit instead of his other outfits, Cassandra, Cervantes, Hilda, Ivy, Lexia, Maxi, Nightmare, Patroclus, Y, Pyrrha, Y, Raphael, Songmina, and Taki. How some of these characters made it in here but not in Soulcalibur 5 is baffling beyond belief, and this roster is stunted even compared to some of the earlier Soulcalibur games. It's not the best selection either, which also turned players away if they weren't already by the title screen. It made it look like Bandai Namco were, and even still, out of touch and allergic to consumers for how little sales they surely wanted or downloads for this free-to-play game. What makes it worse for them is Soulcalibur 2 HD Online released a year before and absolutely destroys this game in roster, gameplay, and having a multiplayer, which meant both games were competing with each other for players' attention. There were other characters in this game, but they were not playable and could only be recreated in the character creation mode. This game was taken off PlayStation for just under 2 years on November 30th, 2015, which there were no more updates for the game and service for it ended. It also has a terrible UI. Can you look at this screen and tell me that this is normal? There isn't a whole lot to even say about this game because the game mechanics are even less than Tekken Revolution, which is insane because Soulcalibur was all about presentation. How it looked in the beginning has some of the most iconic intros of any video game, but then you get all these cutscenes that are just copied and pasted from Soulcalibur 5. It's so over, and turning this into a mobile game is insane. But Bandai Namco were really into it at the time. They also made a pachinko machine out of Soulcalibur. How soulless can you be? Soulcalibur became Soulless Calibur. Insane. Overall, this game should have never been conceived, and I wish I never played it when I was younger. This is by far the worst Soulcalibur game, and I'm glad the nightmare is finally over. More retrospectives and reviews on the way as we head toward the last game in the series so far, Soulcalibur 6 this time. I know I forgot this game too at the end of Soulcalibur 5. Meant to say at the end of Tekken 6 in the last video for Tekken Revolution. I don't know why I said Soulcalibur 5. I meant Soulcalibur 5 for this game. Anyways, bye-bye. Thank goodness you don't have to play this game. Bye-bye.